Hey, welcome back, everyone. I hope everybody had a decent deer season out here on the East Coast. I know ours was a little rough. I shot over the back of my target buck, and that was pretty much it for me. I don't know about you guys. You seen some in the woods at least. Just couldn't put the stick to them, but our kids got some deer. That's nice.
First ones.
Yeah, first ones ever. Oh, both bucks. Amazing. It's the coolest thing to see is getting your kids involved in the sport. What brought us here today is we talk a little bit about Sunday hunting. You read a nice little interesting article there about Pennsylvania and the legislation of hunting regulations, kind of how Sunday hunting has been hung up here in Pennsylvania. Go ahead and
Yeah.
lead us in on that.
Yeah. Two out of three of us live in Pennsylvania, and we are stuck in the 1800s when it comes to Sunday hunting regulations. A lot of people think the Game Commission just completely opposes it, but the fact of the matter is, it's actually a state law that's been in place for over 200 years that bans Sunday hunting, and the Game Commission is actually surprisingly supportive of it. But there's been a lot of movement recently to introduce Sunday hunting. I know we've got the three Sundays right now with the one in archery, one in bear rifle, and the one in deer rifle. But a few different state senators are putting through some bills that are trying to allow Sunday hunting all throughout the seasons and put that power back in the Game Commission's hands. But they didn't make it through the House at the end of the season for 2024, so they got to reconfigure and try to resubmit it coming up here in 2025. But the big thing that's giving people optimism this time is they have the PA Farm Bureau on their side because the farmers are sick of the crop damage and they are losing lots of money from these deer that are just destroying their farm fields. So they finally had the full support of the Farm Bureau guys to try to push through some legislation that actually allows Sunday hunting. But like anything else, there's arguments on both sides of the fence, but I know
Yeah.
we're definitely in favor of Sunday hunting.
Yeah, I mean, Sunday, I get it that the people want to be in the woods, and Sunday's kind of been their day in Pennsylvania for a long time. But rifle season's short, you know what I mean? And nobody cares if you're in the woods. I mean, I don't in archery season. I'm not anywhere near a public trail. I'm not anywhere near. Nobody's going to just accidentally stumble upon me in archery season. Now, gun season, it's a little bit different because there's a lot of people in the woods. You know, you got high powered rifles. It's just not ideal to be out there. But that's 3 weeks, right? Isn't the season 3 weeks long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So, yeah, so
2 weeks.
I get so confused as to why, well, that would make it, would that be 3 Sundays then? It'd
Well,
be,
yeah, it's 3 weekends, but two
eh,
full like calendar
yeah,
ones.
so there'll be three, but you can't sacrifice 3 Sundays and not being out. And I mean, mostly during the week, it's wide open. I mean, the hunting pressure isn't there during the week because most guys are working. It's hit or miss certain days. If it snows, most likely a lot of guys are going to be out if you get weather changes or whatever. But if it's warm, well, most guys aren't taking weekdays to hunt, because the conditions aren't ideal. But you got to give us the opportunity to get in the woods for the average person that works, has kids, sports, all these activities. 6 days of rifle season is not that much. You know,
No.
if you average it to archery season, if I only hunted 6 days of archery season, I wouldn't be very successful. I mean, Andrew, you take what, 2 weeks off? I
Minimum.
take I took a solid week off this year, plus additional time, plus weekends, evenings, anytime I can get out. So like, and archery season is unquestionably better. Like deer are moving, there's less pressure, they're on their feet during
Right.
daylight hours, you have the rut. The gun season don't have those options. So you need guys in the woods, which we're at a decline of. That's another huge problem. And that's the problem I think is persuading Pennsylvania to make these changes is because numbers are down. I mean, we were over 1 million hunters when we were kids. I haven't checked in a while, but it was under 500,000 last I knew. And
And
I mean,
going down further every
and
year.
down. It's trending down. And I go out and I see the vehicles, but it is nothing. Rifle season is nothing of the days of old. And how do you get kids interested in rifle in Pennsylvania when guys aren't out moving the deer? They go full lockdown mode. They're bedded. They move completely nocturnal. They might move first 20 minutes of daylight and the last 20 minutes of daylight. But I mean, they don't move very far. I mean, I found fresh snow this year. We found tracks, them things circled within probably a 300-yard radius and went right back to where they bedded from. Like even trying to track fresh tracks, I'm like, all they did is come up the hill, turn around, go right back down to where they came from. It was like their little safety zone. They knew
Right.
where to go. And when you get deep snow and it's quiet enough, yeah, you can put a stalk on them. But predominantly rifle without snow, you need shooters. You need to be moving the deer. You need to be scaring the deer. You need to get them on their feet and keep them on their feet because they don't run far. They'll bed right back down, given the opportunity. And if you have a bunch of guys just sitting out there, not moving and not participating, and I think Sunday hunting would help this problem. I also think more people are into archery now because archery is a better season, but also they don't want to put the work in. So a lot more crossbows make it a lot more available because you can shoot out to 80, 90 yards, deadly,
Not that you're shitting on
accurately.
crossbow, guys. It's just a fact of the
Just,
matter.
yeah, yeah. It's just, you don't need the training you need to use an upright bow. And the success rate has to be higher with a crossbow, guaranteed. There's so much that can go wrong. You're off by a little bit, and they duck or move or a tree branch or something. You got these bolts going faster, they're shorter, and they got scopes. Like it's almost dummy proof because you just as long as you sight it incorrectly,
Right.
it almost eliminates human error.
So you're saying the crossbow hunter would not have stuck that arrow in the tree at 40 yards
Yeah,
like you did?
exactly.
All right.
I'd
So
hope
make sure we're
if I
clear.
Well, let's put it this way. If I miss it with a crossbow, I feel a lot worse than missing it with a longbow. Because if you upright bow hunting, you haven't missed a deer, then praise to you, brother, because you are a champion. But I mean, there's
I
just
missed two
so
in the same morning one year.
yeah.
Same morning.
I've watched my arrow hit the tiniest of branch and just wing, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
Always those little branches you can't see.
you just see the thing twingling. I'm like, oh, you're shitting me. So, and I feel like the higher speed of crossbows and the shorter bolts eliminate a lot of that. I mean, not completely. You can't just go plowing through brush, but you also can't do that with most rifles, anyways.
Right.
There are some muzzleloaders are really good at brush plowing, but um, all in all, I think more people are piling into archery season. Less people are in the gun season. I think a majority of them are the ones I see the same trucks at the gate that I see in archery in rifle that I saw in archery. So if they weren't successful in archery, they're hitting up gun. But if they are successful in archery, they're again less guys in gun. And then late season is a complete joke. Like flintlock is just a dead art. I've never been a fan of it. I mean, I knew guys growing up that could drop deer with a flintlock, but in all honesty, the biggest buck of my life could step out with a flintlock and 90% chance I'm going to miss it. It's just, they're a terrible weapon or it's going to misfire. It's just an obsolete weapon. So,
No reason that inlines shouldn't be legal.
no, I mean, they are everywhere else. It's like Sunday hunting. We're so behind the curve. Like, you can hunt in Ohio on Sundays. You can hunt with an inline there in the late season. I mean, I shot a decent buck January 6th, I think, probably 7 years ago now, but with an inline. Great. Chasing a doe. I mean, full chase, nose to the ground, grunting, cool experience, snow on the ground. It was beautiful.
Well,
But
what is the reason that Pennsylvania ever even had no hunting on Sundays?
It goes back to basically being a Christian day of rest
yeah.
from my research. It's just
I
been in
don't
place forever.
figured it must have been religious.
Yeah,
Hmm.
thing I've always heard
Sucks.
is we're a commonwealth. And yeah, that was the religious day. So essentially you just didn't hunt on those days. But also hunting was a different culture back then. Like it started on Monday, and most guys, and then you had the 3 day doe season then too, which that
Hmm.
was sheer chaos. I mean, when you only got 3 days to hunt doe, everybody
Oh
and their
yeah,
brother was in the woods.
that was wild.
I mean, deer were popping everywhere. I mean, you would see bucks you never seen before, but you only shoot doe.
Hmm.
Or no, could you shoot bucks? Or was just doe only in those 3 days?
I can't even
It
remember.
flip flops so much I can't even remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But you only got 3 days to shoot a doe, and those were some of the wildest times in the woods because you would see piles of deer. I'm talking 30, 40 deer a day. And I mean, some of them could have been recycled deer. You don't know, but still, that's exciting. That's how you get kids into it. That's how you continue it on. Is because
Right.
you compact all the guys in. You got 3 days to get her done. You want to put some meat on the table. Archery wasn't successful. Whatever. Like, you got to give us more days that the common person could get in the woods and hunt. And it's not like they're concerned about deer kill numbers. Pennsylvania, what they do this year? They guaranteed every resident a tag this year.
I couldn't tell you how many people I know have 5 or 6 tags with
I think.
DMAP tags and doe tags and everything else.
Well, I think the agenda was this year that every resident could get a tag if wanted. I
Hmm.
got a tag in September. I got 2 doe tags. One for my son, who's not even on a junior license; he's on a mentor license, and I got myself one in September. Which, when did the license come out? June.
June,
Yeah. So normally, if you don't have them in by what?
about a week or two after they go on sale.
Yeah. With the slips you used to have to put in, they had to
Hmm.
be postmarked. And if you didn't have them in that day, you were even a day late previous, you didn't get one,
Hmm.
resident or not. I mean, you could get D maps or whatever, but then you have to travel to wherever that may be. But obviously, giving more tags is not the solution, right? Because it's not helping. I'm not seeing more deer. I'm
They want to
seeing
get more tags.
more.
I can't believe they won't open up Sundays.
That's
If they want to see more deer get
yeah,
harvested, then
yeah. If that's your agenda, then why not open it wide open on a day more people can hunt? Like, statistically speaking, Saturday and Sunday are the day most people in the world, or most people in the state, rather, if we're talking about Pennsylvania, can hunt. So let it be.
mhm.
They're clearly want more deer down or more people out because they're expanding seasons. They're letting crossbows go all of archery season. Most states, you have a designated crossbow season separate from upright bow season.
Mhm.
And then they pigeonhole you to muzzle of flintlocks in late season.
Right.
I did hear this year they opened a late rifle, but only for certain units. I just heard that yesterday, I believe. I was like, wow, I didn't know that. So certain
Hmm.
units, they're just piling on more days, but God
Yeah.
forbid you put a Sunday in when everybody else is hunting so you can bump more deer out. Because let's face it, after the first day or first 2 days, your chances nosedive because them deer know they're getting shot at. But
Hmm.
Penn State released that 11-year study just a few weeks back. Deer in Pennsylvania, they tagged a bunch of deer in Pennsylvania. They changed their patterns the day before rifle season every year.
Huh.
Every year.
You
So
guys, you guys still have the week off in between each season?
That's another stupid thing. Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, and it doesn't change pressure factors.
Like
No.
right
There's
now
no
it's December 11th.
natural habitats. That's
No,
what happens that
no.
fast.
There's never been a time where I'm like, oh, they get a few days off to rest. That was the theory in my head was like, oh, they get a few days off, the deer will start roaming. But guys are in setting up, cleaning their spots out, putting stands. I got out with an electric chainsaw one of the last days I was out in archery. I could just hear zzz, and then trees fall. And I'm like, some guy's out here sawing branches. He's getting ready. Clearly, he's not an archery hunter because it was within the last hour of daylight.
Yeah.
So he's setting himself up for rifle in archery, but you're at the best time of the day, last hour of light, other than the morning. Mornings are better in archery, but the last hour is still a good time to be out there. And he's out here sawing branches, getting ready. So pressure's not clearly they know the day before the season because people are migrating into the woods, getting ready. I mean, we always did. We always went and cleared our spot out
Hmm.
the day before or a few days before. So they feel that pressure coming. I mean, it's the only way they know because archery, you have some pressure, but you still don't have that giant amount of pressure because they're still on their feet in daylight. Even in late archery, I see more deer than I do on the first day rifle. You know, I've been doing it, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I've been doing it a long time. And I know when I was a kid, teenager, and we were in our 20s, you would see piles of deer in
Yeah.
rifle. And we were out in groups moving them. You don't see a lot of that now. You don't see a lot of collaborative hunting. You see more competitive hunting. And that should stick to archery. You solo hunt in archery, you group hunt and rifle because it just they're gonna lay down, they're gonna be nocturnal. They're gonna move into the housing neighborhoods. I see that a lot. I saw a monster 200 yards down the road from my house. Never seen him. I drive up and down that way all the time. I saw him first week of rifle down there. I guarantee he's hanging out by houses, but also no one's pushing him out. No one's moving him out. I did see another talk. It was another podcast about how they did talk about access to private lands way down. People aren't allowing other people to hunt in areas because it's just not, I don't know exactly the reason, but it's not the tradition anymore. There
Mhm.
really wasn't a safe haven for deer when we grew up because somebody knew somebody that was going to let him on there. As soon as he
Right.
walked onto said private land, them deer blowing out of there onto the next batch, and then the guy's blowing them out, and then you go guy to guy, and then these deer have to stay on their feet. But honestly, the last 3 years of rifle for me has been god awful. And I mean, I've tagged out bucks before I go in, and I'm still going into rifle. Even if I just have a doe tag, I just like being out there. But I don't see deer all day, or I see silhouettes at night. It's really killing the vibe for me. And I understand why people are hunting in lower numbers because it's just frustrating.
Hmm.
More tags is not the answer. More tags won't help anybody, but another day would be helpful. You get, 6 full weekend days to hunt. That's a big deal. You get 3 more solid days that more people are going to be in the woods, and then you could organize drives and get deer moving and yada yada. You
Right.
know,
To me,
I
the
don't
biggest
see
argument
downside.
is, sorry, to me, the biggest thing, like your son and mine each got their first buck this year. And if they want kids to get involved with hunting, they got to maximize chances for these kids to get out there.
Yeah,
I mean, if you or I don't have days off during the 2 week rifle season to take them out, they're limited to the opening weekend, which is Saturday, Sunday, and the first full week, the Saturday at the end of that week. That's all they
yeah,
get. That's three
yeah,
days to try and get a
yeah.
kid out there and get him interested. And a kid's not going to be interested if he's not getting to see deer or get shot opportunities. You got to give him chances.
Yeah, I'll be
Right.
dead honest. My son is beyond frustrated with rifle season. Like he is not a fan of rifle season because we see very little deer. And I've told him you have to maximize the first day like it's the last.
Hmm.
Honestly, the first day is the best chance you're gonna get to see deer or see quality deer. And then now we're just dying to see a good doe,
Hmm.
and it's a hard task. I have a way easier time finding a 140-inch in archery than I do a doe in rifle season. A good doe.
That's
That's
messed
a
up.
that's a sad fact. Yeah, and throwing more tags to people doesn't help. We got 2 tags in our pocket. We're eating tag soup here. If I went to New York, you give me a day in New York, I'll put a deer down. I'll put a doe down. No problem. It's not as easy now that rifle season's over. It's muzzleloader, heavy pressure, but I still know I will see a deer at least, or a doe, a quality doe, in that day's time. If I hunt hard one day, I will see them. I can hunt hard one day here and see nothing, especially if the weather doesn't cooperate. And then there's just a double whammy because what first week of the season we did have snow, but it was 20 plus mile per hour winds with 20-degree temperatures. Now it's 40 and rain in the past 2 days. Snow's gone. You just can't. You don't get the white. You got one day of white fluffy stuff. No calm days. You'd have to be, and like you said again with kids, they can't be on their feet in 6+ inches of snow, tracking deer tracks. That's daunting task. Most hunters probably can't do that or will do that. I mean, we will, but it's physically demanding to walk through deep snow like that, following tracks for miles, possibly. Then if you get the deer, what do you do then? You got to get the thing back out.
Hmm.
So most guys would just give up. They go in half a mile max, they don't see nothing out. And sitting doesn't do you much good. Like somebody's got to move. And it's just I feel like we don't have the guys, and I feel like Sunday hunting would really encourage more guys to get out there with tag or not. Most guys are sitting on buck tags still, especially if you only gun hunt. I mean, I guarantee the majority of them are still sitting on buck tags, gun hunt. So,
And a lot of guys have that tradition of like going to camp, like from Pittsburgh areas or something. They'll come
yeah.
up to a camp after Thanksgiving, spend the weekend. Then that's it for them. That's their entire season.
Hmm.
And, and that has decreased. I mean, our town that Doug and I grew up in was flooded when we were kids,
Oh yeah,
flooded with out of towners. We would get
tons of
guys from
wild plates.
Ohio would flood our town.
There's a
Now
few.
they wouldn't even drive into the state. Why would you? You're going to see way more deer in your own state. There's no reason to come here.
Hmm.
Like, there's no revenue. We're not leading on bucks. We're not leading on deer. Like, in my opinion, you need to take a management year and crush tags down to almost nothing. Let the deer replenish. And if you go out and see 30 deer, even if there is only 400,000 hunters, in PA, but you go out and see 30 deer, they're going to be 200,000 more next year because they're going to tell all their buddies, I'm seeing 20 deer now. And guaranteed they're going to buy tags. If somebody told me in archery they're seeing 20 deer, I'm going where he's going. And that, I'm telling my friends and we're going out. But if they ask me now, you want to go PA rifle, I say you go the first day. That's it. First weekend maybe, and then just pack your stuff because it's not worth it. And I think that comes down to we need to stop legislating deer hunting regulation or hunting regulations in general. It should not be in the hands of the state government. It should be surely in the hands of the agencies that run and monitor with biologists and conservationists. Let them handle the season. That's their job. You got legislators that don't know anything about wildlife or hunting per se, most of them, and they're just going by voters or what people say. Let's let the experts handle what's actually going on in the ground. We talked about the wolf situation in Colorado. Like, they released these wolves in Colorado because they legislated they wanted wolves. Well, they got wolves and then they killed cattle and they killed dogs and then they ended up trapping most of them, or most of them ended up shot by probably ranchers. Like, and they spent millions. And it all because, somebody said, oh, wolves is a good idea, but nobody talked to the CPW or the wildlife biologist saying, this is a terrible idea for elk. It's a terrible idea for deer. They're killers. Like, there's a reason this flourishes now because they don't have that predatory influence. And first of all, they're not equipped to deal with wolves because they haven't for generations. So they're just sitting ducks essentially for wolves. And it's just somebody legislated without any idea. They just thought it was a cool idea. Oh, let's bring back wolves. They used to exist here. And yeah, we also had wolverines in Pennsylvania, at one time, and rumored to be timber wolves. We don't have the ecosystem for that anymore. We just don't.
Well, the good news is these proposed bills do aim to put the power back in the hands of the Game Commission and let them dictate what Sundays would be available. So hopefully there is an end in sight.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if we have a problem with the game commission, then you could possibly legislate in and out game commission officials. Let them spill out their plan, and then hunters vote on that. If it came down to an issue, with this agency in particular, you could put some sort of oversight with hunting on it. How many states you go to, they ask you to, they ask your opinion. We get emails all the time from the different states on opinions on stuff, or if you did this. They do that with migratory birds nonstop in Pennsylvania. They're asking, if I get a stamp, I get like 4 emails that said, did I shoot a woodcock or something this year? It's like, no, I didn't. I'm not a migratory bird hunter, but it's like they ask for the rarest stuff. There's an easy way to get input on that stuff. And if you feel like you're trying, guys will put more input in. Like, as of right now, I don't fill too many surveys out, but if it was about whitetail deer and about the hunting or Sunday hunting, I guarantee you're going to get a lot of votes, one way or the other, and then make your decision from there. So yeah, I agree. Just stop legislating hunting, put it in the hands of the hunters. Why would other people want to make a decision on a activity they don't participate in? And then, if we have we could also designate areas for hiking if that's, the main issue there. But 3 Sundays doesn't seem like a big deal to me, you know.
No, no, it should
50,
be every
50,
Sunday.
yeah, 52 weeks a year. God knows how many Sundays that is, but three of them, we could have three.
Especially that time of year. How many people are out in the woods when it's 20 degrees and a foot of snow on the ground
Yeah,
anyhow?
yeah, yeah. And the next day it'll rain. It's just
Hmm.
nobody's out there. Not your traditional people. People just want the idea of it happening. But there's private land. You could make parks.
State
You can't
parks,
hunt.
yep.
Yeah, you can't hunt in public parks. So like that's wide out walking. Yeah, so I that argument doesn't make too much sense to me.
Oh,
But we other states do Sunday hunting with zero issues. It's a huge revenue stream, and we've lost that in Pennsylvania. We have lost the hunting revenue stream, and we need to find a way to bring it back. We need to bring the deer back and bring the hunters back. Once you get the deer up, you get the interest up, and then yeah, you allow that Sunday, the more time that everyone can hunt and take their children or relatives or friends, because everybody's all majorly off on the weekends. That's time you can. That's the best part about rifle is the community of it. Like you said, going into camps, meeting up with your buddies. That's the fun part about that's how I tell my son, you hunt bow solo, you hunt gun with a group. You hunt with your buddies and gun. So I'd like to see more of that happening, the possibility more of that happening.
Well, fingers crossed. Change is coming in 2025.
I hope so.
well,
Well,
I hope
yeah,
so for you guys.
yeah, yeah. New York's already got it buttoned up. We love our Sundays up there. That's a
Whew.
high quality hunt day.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will
Yep.
see you next
Thanks for
time.
joining us. All right.